What do I do for? I'd like to play. I'm going to start playing golf. I haven't played in a while, and
Are you good at golf?
I was at one point.
Maybe we should play together.
Right.
I'll bring your game down a little.
There we go. No, I mean I haven't played in a couple of years, but my parents moved to Minnesota right after high school for me, and so that summer I don't know anybody at all, and they belong to a country club. Okay, so I can every day after work I'd get done work at 2:30, go play 18 holes. Well, you do that 5 days a week, you're gonna get pretty good.
Yeah.
So, two interesting stories. I was playing. My mom went with me one time, and she just played 9 holes, and then she rode in the cart. And I'm playing great. I'm like out of my head, and I get to the last hole, and I'm even par. Pipe job the drive, 8 iron to about 7 feet. So I've got a 7-foot putt to shoot under par for an entire round. And I'm standing over, I'm 18 years old, my knees are knocking together, I'm sweating, I'm never gonna have this opportunity again, right? And my mom's over in the cart and she goes, "Hey, if you make that, you're under par?" I missed it like a foot right and 2 feet past. It was just an easy putt. And I had another time where I used to hit the ball a long way when I was younger. I don't do it anymore, but and my brother took the woods out of my bag.
What's a long way, by the way, Steve?
My longest drive was 375. I had a little wind. I had a little wind behind me. But
that's some Happy Gilmore.
I regularly would hit it
John Daly level.
280, 270, 280. Not straight. I mean, it would go all, but yeah.
I just realized something.
Yeah.
Do you not know the Happy Gilmore reference,
Okay.
Connor?
No, I understand the Huffy Gilmore reference.
You do? Okay.
I do.
I just thought
The
I would
whole
get more.
hockey stick
I just thought I
thing.
would get more acknowledgement out of you. It's Happy Gilmore. I mean, forget John Daly.
Right.
Yeah,
Happy freaking Gilmore.
It was a 525
It's
yard
Adam
par.
Sandler, everyone.
Yeah, agreed.
We
My
made
wife hates
multiple
him, and
Adam
I
Sandler
watch his movies
references
every time
on-
they come on.
He's so freaking talented.
So my brother takes the woods out of my bag
Yep.
and doesn't tell me. So I show up at the course. I've just got irons. I can't hit long irons to save my life. Like, I still can't to this day. 2 through 4 might as well not even be in the bag. I just can't hit them. And I start playing. I called him up, like, "Drop my woods off, you jerk. You took me, And so he's like, "Okay." I shot 60 on the front.
What?
Yeah. I was just all over the place. I couldn't hit anything. 3 guys I'm throwing clubs. This is back in the days when I was throwing clubs and just being a miserable person. And the 3 guys I'm playing with who I just met are like, "Do you even want to keep going?"
It's hard for me to imagine you. You seem like this really just cheery guy all the time.
I have my
laid back.
moments. I tell people at work, you haven't heard me yell yet, and you don't want to. Like, it's not pretty.
Cool.
But and that's we'll get to that when we're
Yeah.
But so I hit we hit the clubhouse, and my woods are there, and I'm like, well, I'll see how I do on the back. 32, right? Or 34. Sorry, 34. The best 94 in history.
Wow.
Eight pars and an eagle on the back. And these guys are like, "Oh, you can play." I'm like, "Great." This is why I was so frustrated on the front. So
Maybe I don't want to play with this guy.
no, I would shoot. I mean, if we went out and played like right now, I'd probably be 90, low 90s.
Here's my definition of a good day at golf.
Yeah.
If I make 5 or 6 shots, 5 or 6 good shots.
Okay, that's a good day.
That's a good day for me.
All right.
I'm not a golfer.
All right.
I have nice clubs.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
I typically do it with a couple of beers and some buddies and a cigar or 2.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just a way to relax. Everyone else gets stressed out because they're good.
Yeah.
Now, yeah. Anyway,
I to this day.
other sports I take more seriously, but golf I don't take.
To this day, I say the greatest athletic feat I ever saw was my friend shot 78 in a championship golf course from the Blue Tees while drinking a fifth of Captain Morgan's.
That's quite the feat.
Just that he survived drinking the fifth of Captain Morgan's, but
Right.
shot 78. And that was on the 18th hole, he hit a big drive down the middle, and then he topped it. It went 3 feet.
That's like Kevin Costner in Tin Cup.
Yeah, exactly. Look,
To Kevin Costner. Mr. Costner.
Mr. Costner.
Sir.
I like playing at the little golf. Is it US 1 golf? Have you guys been? That's like towards Rockledge, right?
Yeah, that's just past my condo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
I haven't played anything, so. I literally haven't played since I got down here.
It's fabulous. They have this this shitty van out in the middle of the drive, and everybody tries to hit it.
Oh, nice.
It's great.
Oh, I'm in. Is it a driving range?
Yeah, it's a driving range. Yeah, it's we were the three of us. Scott, who's no one gets to see on
behind
on
the
camera.
scenes guy.
When are we gonna bring Scott out here?
When we can drag them on.
Yeah. Anyway, so we were talking about going to play around. So
Okay.
you should come with us.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
US 1 golf.
I can somehow convince my wife that that's work.
They have
It's definitely work.
Yeah. I mean,
They have like Sour Patch Kids, pretzels, and Bud Light at the concession stand.
what else do you need?
Yeah, pretty much. That's-
Yeah.
they're pretty awesome.
You have no idea how many Sour Patch Kids I've consumed in my life.
Same, Steve. It's problematic,
Welcome to the Legacy Angel Network Venture Lounge, where nothing ventured is nothing changed. For Matt Helmentaler, press 1. For member services, press 2. For real raw startup stories, press 3. For all other questions or concerns, please wait on the line in our
Good evening, everyone. I'm Matt Helmentaler, and you're listening to Venture Lounge, after-hour conversations with founders and investors. These are the stories, insights, and conversations that you aren't going to find on the company website. Because the real lessons you learn in the startup world, the risks you take as an entrepreneur, the highs and the lows, the moments in your journey when no one else believes in you right before you break through. Those are the moments that you just have to hear for yourself. So grab a drink and listen in to the men and women who are changing the world. Welcome to the Venture Lounge.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Venture Lounge. Nothing ventured, nothing changed. I'm Connor Sherman, creative director here at Legacy, and I'm here with our founder, Matt Helmentaler. Matt, say hi.
Hi. Hello.
And who we got on the couch with us today, man?
We have my dear friend, Mr. Steve Carter. He is the owner of the most famous restaurant. I might get slayed for this later. But I think one of the most well-known restaurants, I would say, in Brevard, Crush 11. And my favorite restaurant.
Yeah. Well, proximity helps too, but yeah.
I mean, proximity does help.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you're just like I can throw a baseball and hit your window.
Yeah.
But actually, I can't throw it that
No,
far.
it's a long way.
That's
Yeah,
a long way.
for
But I mean, just for
Understood.
Yeah, understood. Yeah.
But
but
even before Steve owned Crush, I heard many legends of you in the Flatiron building walking downstairs for...
yeah. So
Crush.
our legacy office initially was after we moved out of Palm Bay, we got a space right above Crush 11.
Okay.
I had this little fire escape outside of my window and whatever, and it was this quaint little space. But yeah, at 4:00 every other day or something, I'd just downstairs and I'd have the Crush 11 famous old fashioned. So I think I need to stress this for all of our viewers who claim to be old fashioned, like
connoisseurs
and
something
whatnot.
sort.
I think you haven't had an old fashioned until you've had a Crush 11 old fashioned.
What's the secret, Steve?
The secret recipe, which is actually listed on the menu, so it's not that secret.
Yeah, it's
But yeah.
So they age all their stuff. They do all different kinds of things. They have this stuff sitting in a barrel. It's a special mix, and they do. So they're people behind the bar, Stu and the whole crew, and JoJo, who often frequents here to actually be our bartender at times here for our events. They're amazing mixologists.
Yeah.
So all the drinks are super creative. It's and it's a nice environment. It's really, really cool. So, but yeah, Steve's a wonderful guy and hilarious and entertaining.
Well,
and
we'll see about that, I guess. Yeah.
and yeah, I just thought this local restaurant owner, he took a shot to do what he was doing before, and then to come down here, not ever having lived in Brevard County, and I just thought, man, that's a venture.
Well,
We need to have Steve on our program. So
Correct.
That's a long intro. But
no, that's fine. No, and I tell people I'm going to live to 104 because I had my midlife crisis at 52. So that must work.
by the
out
way,
pretty good.
cheers. Thank you
cheers,
for
thank you. Oh, yeah.
joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hold on. We got a little tab. All right, there we go.
Steve, yeah, tell us who you are, where you're from.
Yeah,
How you got in the game?
so Steve Carter, originally, well, from all over the East Coast when I was younger. My family moved around quite a bit. Went to high school in suburban Chicago, and then moved up to Stillwater, Minnesota. Spent 30 years there. They had 14 inches of snow the last 2 days. Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I'm here.
Just obnoxious. Yeah. No way to live a
Can't
life.
even like
Yeah,
fathom.
I'll describe to you guys what snow is later. But anyway, yeah, the 30 years up there. Spent the first part of my career doing. I have a degree in electrical engineering and a master's in business administration, and spent the first part of my career building printed circuit boards, high end stuff. Like one of them was roughly the 2/3 of this couch size. I mean, Raytheon bought them and couldn't tell us what they used them for or where they used them, but they sent two guys. Every time we built one, they sent two guys up to make sure it was okay. So
Were they dressed in black?
no, their name were Jeff Seacatz and Mike Luke. Mr. Luke probably isn't with us anymore because he's fairly old at that point. But Mr. Seacatz was about my age, and so hey Jeff, you're seeing this. They were great guys. And then that all went to China. Like all the manufacturing of circuit boards went to China, all of it. And decided to get into medical device. And so I worked 12 years with Medtronic in their neurological division, doing quality development work, supplier quality work, and then worked for Abbott was St. Jude Medical at the time, but Abbott for 6 years, a couple years with Smith's Medical, and then decided I want to come down here and own a restaurant. So,
Well, how did you find out about Crush initially? I mean, where'd that start?
I did. So I have super secret methods. I used Google and I typed in businesses for sale in Florida.
That's
No
amazing.
joke.
That
I'm literally
heard
not
this
kidding.
story.
I'm not kidding.
Because I didn't know Crush was for sale, and
Well, you have to.
I'm pretty dialed in.
It doesn't come up and say, "Hey, Crush 11's for sale." It says there's a restaurant in Brevard County that's for sale, and here are the numbers on it. And if you want to learn more about it, you have to fill out all this disclosure information, and then they check you out. And I had been over to Tampa to look. I knew it. I figured Florida because I'm not a big fan of state income tax. You don't have any here. I like that.
Right.
That's good.
I thought that was just a coincidence. Too,
No, that was not a coincidence. And I always said I wanted to live near the beach. So just a little backstory. What kicked this whole thing off is my best friend from 8th grade till a couple years ago was in Las Vegas for the first weekend of the NCAA basketball tournament. Just dropped dead in his hotel room.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, and my father-in-law died at 53. So he was 51. My father-in-law died at 53. My brother died at 43. And I'd come home every day from my med device job and just be miserable. And my wife finally just said, you get one ride around the roller coaster and you don't seem to be enjoying yours. She said, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to live near the beach and I want to just do something different. I want to be my own boss. And she's like, then go make that happen. And so I started looking. I looked at some places in Tampa. I came down and looked at a couple of them. There's something wrong. It just restaurant. I sort of funneled into restaurant because it looked like you didn't have to have a degree to do it very well, and I didn't have to. Landscaping wasn't really my thing. So I kind of looked a lot at restaurants. And I looked at one over there. Or looked at several over there, but there was always a little bit of something that was wrong. Like I knew I didn't know what I was doing. So I needed to find a place where the owner was leaving who really wasn't doing a whole lot of day-to-day stuff.
Right.
And had a good staff and, good setup and was all running well and was making money. I didn't want to come in and turn around a loser because I don't know how to turn around a loser, right? So there was always something a little bit wrong with each one. And when I came down here to go to Crush, I walked in, I'm like, this place looks amazing. I ate the food, I'm like, the food's amazing. I talked to the staff, I'm like, the staff's amazing. I looked at the numbers, I'm like, the numbers are good. Like, I don't see any problem with this. So I came back home and said to my wife, hey, found it. And she's like, wait, we're really, you're serious? I'm like, yeah, let's do this. And she's like, okay. So she came down and looked at it and she's like, okay, it's a nice place, So
That's
I have
cool.
the best wife in the world. Like, just,
That's awesome, man.
yeah. I mean, yours are probably okay too, but I mean, mine's the best. So, yeah. So she took a leap of faith with me, and we found a house down here and bought that and sold ours and moved through all our stuff in a 26-foot U-Haul. And
You really just manifested all that with a Google search, man. I like that.
Oh yeah.
Just
It's like not even a specific one. You know, it's like
No, it really is amazing that how many people I'm like, how do you learn how to do that? And they're like, well, I just Googled how to.
right.
Swap
That's the
out the
first step
engine.
in pretty much every process. Just look it up on the internet and see if you can figure it out.
Man.
Yeah, and we so I was talking about Florida. Like I knew I didn't want to live near Miami. That's a little too fast-paced
Right.
thing for me.
Yeah. Had you been to Brevard for any reason?
Yeah,
before?
we'd been to Cocoa Beach. It's a funny story. So the sister restaurant to Crush 11 is called the Fat Snook. We had stayed at a VRBO half a block from the Fat Snook twice. We'd eaten there a bunch of times. We loved it, you know. And I find this place, and the first thing I find out about it when I go to the website is, oh, by the way, visit our sister restaurant, the Fat Snook. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's these. If that's the type of food they have, we're good.
Now, did the owner of this that sold it to you? Did he keep the Fat Snook?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I think his son runs it right now. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
yeah.
So do people ask you, like, what's your restaurant like? I mean, how do you describe what you guys do specifically? What makes it unique?
I generally describe it. It's written on the front window, so it's pretty easy to remember. It's a rustic American cookery. So basically, we have traditional American dishes, but upscale.
Yeah.
So we have a pork chop, but if you've seen the pork chop, it's not just a pork chop. It's a heritage pork chop.
Your mother's pork chop.
We make our own apple butter. It's got the sweet potato hash with the kale and.
Did you bring samples?
Apple slaw on top? No, it's 10 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Slow your
I
roll.
thought he was bringing samples, dude.
You can come by. We'll take we'll take care of you over there.
You guys don't open for like another 12 hours. So.
There's nobody there. I have keys. We can go. No, but yeah. So you take regular dishes and you make them special and you give them to people and they're happy. I love being in there and just talking to people, and we have so many people come in and they're just telling me that like the food's amazing and thank you and this is great. And we had a couple with their 3 kids came down from Universal. They came down to go to Universal Studios. And I don't know what they did wrong because these numbers don't make any sense to me, but the 5 of them wanted to go to Universal Studios. They came down from like New Jersey. And they got here to Universal and they wanted $2,300 for the 5 of them to go to Universal. I don't know if that was like a 3-day pass or a 2-day, whatever. And the dad looked at the kids like, and the kids are like, nah, let's go to the beach. So they ended up coming there. Apparently one of their parents lives down here. And so they came down here, they came to eat at our restaurant, and they just had appetizers and like, this is amazing. We're coming back here tomorrow night with my parents. I don't know if they've ever been here. And so they came in last night with the parents, and they're like, this is amazing. We're coming back.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's just stuff I get stories like that every day where I go there. That's just so much different than past life Steve, where past life Steve would just come home and be like, this guy's messing this thing up and this guy's messing this thing up. And I don't know why this guy thinks he can do that and blah, 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 blah. And, so anyway, yeah, you guys mentioned I'm a little happier, but yeah, I'm a lot happier. So
Yeah, you genuinely seem happy.
Yeah.
It's something that struck me like when I first met you was that you came and found me. Like it was really cool. You go into most restaurants and the owners, are kind of off to themselves, or they're in a back office, or they're sitting at the bar, but they're not engaged with their customers. Their staff has to be, but often they're kind of like, kind of off over here. But I went in and I didn't even know the restaurant had been sold. And he comes up to me and strikes up a conversation and just treated me like, but you go in there any day of the week and I watch you, you're doing that for everybody.
yeah, I mean,
You really go in there and you talk to a lot of people. You go up to the tables, you say hello, you strike up conversation.
Well, Steve, and then Aubrey and I came in. Maybe it was like a month and a month or so ago, and we were like, wonder if Steve's going to be here, and he like greets us at the front door. So let's go, Steve. He's in it, man.
I have a schedule, and so it's not. My wife demanded that I have a schedule, which makes sense. I mean, she's like, "Hey, by the way, this whole thing where you randomly go to the restaurant, that's not working for me so much." And I'm like, "Fair enough." So I'm there. I'm there during the week for dinner, and then Saturday for brunch, and then Saturday night and Sunday. That's the nice thing about everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, you let the staff run the place on Saturday night." I'm like, I could leave for 3 weeks and I wouldn't have to change anything.
Exactly.
I mean, I have amazing
Phenomenal
general
staff.
manager, amazing cooks, amazing bartenders. I have amazing dishwashers. I mean, everybody there is just awesome. I'm a very lucky guy that I walk into this situation where literally from day one I could have been like, I don't want to go in, and it would run just fine. Yeah.
Have you started to dissect, like, since you've been there, what makes the atmosphere, the culture, like the people there, like what makes them click so well? What makes it amazing like that?
Well, I think it starts at the top. General Manager Laura is just great, and she really works on culture, and she hires for culture. So I tell her, all right, I own the place, you run it. And I tell people when I get there, like, if I tell you to do one thing and Laura tells you to do something else, do what Laura says. And I mean that because I'm wrong. I know
awesome.
if we're in disagreement, I'm wrong. And on the rare occasion, I think it's happened like once in 9 months where I'm like, hey, why we should do this way. And she's like, oh, you're right. You were right. We should have done that. Like, I was like, wow. All right, I must be learning something. This is good. Hey, look at that! Wow, this is awesome. No, so it starts from the top. It starts at that culture of we respect people. We try to honor people. We try to work with people, and it's a restaurant business, right? So you got some of your staff is there, professional. That's their career, and some of them are college students who are going to be there for 3 or 4 years, and then they're going to move on. Like we just did Kenny. We had a server who got a job at the Pentagon as a financial auditor. I mean, I think he was a really good waiter, but it's hard to say no when you see that happen. Everybody's happy for him. We're all happy for him.
Yeah, shout out Kenny, man. That's cool that he did that.
Yeah. Kenny was awesome. I think he's still trying to get me to like wine. It's not really working so good, but. I mean, I like it, but it's anyway.
He's a very convincing guy.
Oh yeah.
He's very good at like.
Well, he's incredibly knowledgeable about apparently a lot of things because he's
Right.
got a degree and now he's working at the Pentagon. But yeah, but
So can he
you
answer-
have that level of person that, and then there's the people. There's a couple people that come in and work their 6 months and leave, and but it's making sure that the top people that first group that I mentioned get it. And know what kind of culture you're trying to breed and know what kind of culture you're trying to create and sustain. So, yeah.
And I guess this all started for you, Steve. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong or tell me kind of your thoughts behind it. Did this all start for you trying to like derive meaning out of the things that you were trying to do day to day versus what you were doing in your old job?
No, So I walked into a good culture, and I recognized it based upon the fact that I'd come from a couple of bad ones recently.
Right.
So, at that point, you're like, okay, what is making this good? You kind of look around and see where it's coming from, and it was coming from Laura, which is the right place. It wasn't like people were dragging Laura along. Laura was leading that. I mean, she makes if you have a birthday, she'll ask what your favorite dessert is, and she'll go make it. Like she's a cook herself. So yeah, that helps quite a bit. Like that level of engagement. And yeah, so it was more, I recognized that I wasn't in good organizations for me. I'm not saying they weren't good organizations, but they weren't good for me. And to make sure that my organization was the way that I wanted it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's really, really true what you said about the culture kind of starting from the top and it works its way down, and then maintaining that culture throughout is kind of a tricky thing.
Yeah.
But as a consumer of your product, your customers feel that. like, and I mean, your customers walk in and they get a sense of that culture, which is why they continue to come back. You could have great food, but if the servers don't appear to be like happy and enjoying their job, if they're not knowledgeable, if they're not getting along, if you hear the manager yelling or the chef yelling, in the back, and like all these other things that can happen at different places, you tend to kind of not want to go back to those places, no matter how good the food is. When you walk into your place, there is a sense of like you're welcomed. I always use the term accessible. Like it's not the cheapest place in town. It's not the most expensive place in town. But everyone, I feel like almost anyone could walk in there and feel like it's accessible.
Yeah.
And I think that's magic. That's difficult to pull off.
Well, so one of the things that I try to do, and somebody will probably correct me, but I mean, if somebody hears that I own the restaurant and they haven't been there, I say, come in for happy hour. Yeah. And it's 4 to 6 not Monday because we're not open, but 4 to 6 the rest of the time. And you get half price appetizers and then the same appetizers you would get otherwise. It's just, they're half price. And I do that because I want people to just come in and try it. And if they don't like it, hey, that's fine. I haven't run into that a whole lot, but I don't want people to be like, oh, geez, I gotta spend X amount of money to try this place. That's crazy. I'm not going to do it. I want you to come and just try. Like I talked about that family that came in and just had a bunch of apps. Right. They were like, yeah, this is great. So
I was listening to Andrew Huberman or somebody talk about like that. There's a neurological connection between the atmosphere of a place, like the culture and just aesthetic and stuff that you build, and how satisfying the meal is, like how that food actually tastes in the end. And people say, so I think that's pretty interesting. Like even the wine glass or the glass you drink things out can impact how delicious you think the alcohol is.
I think, you say like we sell flights and we have the little special, the paddle and you have the special glasses that go on. That always, every time I've seen that in my life, I'm like, well, that's going to be good. And I might not like anything that's on there. I'm like, oh, whiskey, man, but that's going to be good. Because to your point, it just kind of looks like, all right, these guys are set up to do this.
Yeah.
So that it gives you confidence that they know what they're doing and you're going to enjoy your experience. Yeah.
Right. It is just like sitting down eating so much more than just getting calories in. You know what I mean? It's I mean, just the food. Like that's the thing I noticed when the times that we've ate at Crush, even before you were in ownership, is like it feels the pace feels slower. You're like, because the food and everything is so good, you kind of disconnect from your device easier. You kind of like conversate better. You're talking about the things that are happening real time instead of
my wife would mention all the time. We'd see couples in a restaurant and they'd both be on their phones. And like how sad that was. I don't think I've seen that once.
That's cool.
You get kids, but I mean, if you bring a kid in and you're trying to keep them entertained and they're used to having a device, okay, that's one thing. But yeah, it's really rare to have anybody on their phone unless if you eat by yourself. A lot of times there'll be people who eat by themselves who'll be on their phone. But okay, they're working on stuff. So
yeah. As much as I've frequented your place, I've only seen that a couple of times. And the couples that were doing that, I mean, they were going to have a good time anyway, no matter what.
No, there's that. Yeah. So you mentioned that I came up to you. Well, the reason I came up to you is because Kenny said, Matt's here, and he's here like 6 days a week. You should probably know him. And he's over at extent. He didn't say 6 days a week, but he said you're
gonna get me in trouble with my wife.
What he said was he's a really good customer. He's a really good guy. You should go introduce yourself. And I'm like, okay. So I went and introduced myself. So that's just,
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
No one says that about Connor. It's weird. Anyway.
True. It's true. You should. I get it. I really do. That's right. Awesome, man. So obviously the food is delicious. The culture's good. I mean, the people that you're working with, like your employees, obviously working there has to be more interesting, like than, I don't know, like an establishment that doesn't have the same quality of their craft, right? So do you find that also, like your employees take more interest and find more meaning out of what they're doing because of the product or the process, or what do you think does it for them?
I think they do a really good job of quality control on their own because they're proud of the work that they do and they're proud of the place that they work in.
Yeah.
And that's probably the best way I could put that. But yeah, they are constantly like, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. Or, it was funny. They had a chocolate bourbon pecan pie that they're like, well, this might be overdone. And they cut a piece off and they put the whipped cream on it and sprinkle like they would for like they wanted the whole thing to be like it's supposed to be and to see if you could taste anything. And they each had a little fork, like a tiny little forkful. So there's it's like it was a pretty good sized piece, and they'd eaten just this little bit. And like, Steve, what do you think? And I took a fork and I ate a piece, and then I grabbed the plate. I'm like, it's fine. As I'm walking away eating the rest of it. But they're just we have the dates on the menu. And Majul dates, goat cheese stuff, wrapped in bacon, delicious, grilled pineapple. And we ran out of pineapple one time. We stopped selling the dates. Because if you don't have the dish, you don't have the dish. So, and people think, well, that's crazy. No, well, that's quality control.
Right.
I watch a lot in my preparation for this, I watched a lot of a guy named, goes by the Restaurant Boss on YouTube. And I'm blanking on his name right now, but if you Google the Restaurant Boss, he'll come up. And he has he's a restaurant consultant, and he's just like, you're gonna know if you're gonna make it or not the day the dishwasher calls in sick, and you're like, he quits, and you get somebody, and you're like, well, he's not a really good fit, but I don't have a dishwasher tonight, and now you're gonna figure out whether your restaurant's gonna make it, because if you hire this guy because it's inconvenient for you to wash dishes, you're done. And it's like that level of stuff. So I'm like, I kind of immersed myself in that to try to prepare myself for restaurant-y stuff. I'm sorry to get so technical there.
No.
yeah. There's the blur, like all the industry terms are thrown. That's awesome, Steve. Yeah. What else you like about Brevard since you've been here, man?
Oh, everything. The weather's amazing. Beaches are great. People are really accepting. Like, there's a lot of places. Stillwater's a great town, but if your grandparents aren't buried there, you're not from there. Like, people will, you didn't go to high school here? I'm like, no. Like, I didn't really have a choice in that matter. Like, my parents didn't live here then, so you going to hold that against me? They're like, yeah, a little bit. So it takes a long time to get, in that, to find your place there and find your people. Here, it's like, 2 minutes. We stopped, we put a bid in on the house. I'm talking to the mortgage broker, and they're like, oh, it's going to be, about a half hour, 40 minutes of questions for you. And I'm with my wife, and I'm like, you shouldn't want to sit in the car. So we stopped by Ichabod's Beachside, which is kind of over by the hotel we were at. And I said, baby, why don't you go in, have a drink? She's freaking out a little bit that we're moving and spending a bunch of money and all this stuff. And so why don't you go in, have a drink, have an appetizer, and I'll be in, when we're done with this. I walk in there, and she's like, oh, hey, meet this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. And I'm like, wow, it was like 35 minutes. Like, how? So, it's very inclusive. There's a lot to do. I mean, we talked about Universal. I don't know that I have that kind of money, but it's like, it's right, you can, an hour you can be in Orlando.
For sure.
Great golf courses. You can go across 95 here on 192 and take an airboat ride if you want to. There's all kinds of Cocoa is half an hour that way. Vero's half an hour that way. It's in a really cool spot with a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. No, it's definitely adjacent to all this like interesting stuff.
Yeah, if you want to see rockets go off, just walk out on the sidewalk and
right. I like that the Brevard being here for the short period of time we've been here. It just feels low key. Like when you go to beachside here, it's different than when you go to beachside like Cocoa or something. Right. Where it's just little shacks by the beach.
Yeah.
That's all.
There's not a lot of corporate stuff.
No,
there's not a lot of people don't run to Applebee's and they don't run to whatever
Right.
I mean, they're here, but they're down the road a little ways away from the beach. But yeah, over on the side that I frequent, it's just mom and pop stuff, and you a lot of places the owner's there. It's just nice. You kind of. It's amazing the number of times you get introduced to people when you tell them you're an owner of a restaurant. Like, oh, well, that guy's the owner of this place. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, let's go talk to him and find out, or her, and find out what what that's like. So, just fun.
What's been like the biggest challenge for you in making like the move down here and becoming a new owner of this restaurant, and like what's been the big? Has there been like a big adjustment, or has there been like any challenges in it, or has it all been kind of rainbows and gummy bears?
No. I mean, getting the liquor license transferred over was a challenge.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The process was Byzantine is the best word I can think of.
I heard in the state of Florida, it's not an easy thing to get all that stuff done.
I don't think it's the state of Florida. I just think it's government in general is difficult to do stuff like that. So, and there's a background check. I got fingerprinted. I got all, but there's all this stuff you have to learn. Like
rubber glove stuff too.
You wouldn't think if you're going to buy no.
There's hopefully no exam.
No. That's Anyway, I won't mention the state. That'd be bad.
Physical,
hey, look at the sound effects and everything.
That was good sound scoring.
I'm a little worried now.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, that learning all that stuff and finding the right people to talk to. I mean, once I got the right person, it really wasn't hard at all. They were very helpful down in Orlando, but I still had to drive to Orlando to find the right person. And it's just there's some stuff that you would think would be easy to do that, especially in this day and age, that isn't that easy. But I mean, there's reasons for stuff, and I'm sure they existed at some point. But you just get through it and make the list of stuff that they want you to do, and you do it all, and it's all good. So
have you ever had any? I mean, I know you've. I'm not trying to nudge you toward anything. I'm just curious.
He said about to nudge me toward something.
You have Crush 11, right? Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Have you thought about expanding?
Nope.
No.
Hard.
I've been there 10 months. I've been in the restaurant industry for 10 months. I was there for like 30 minutes, and somebody's like, "You should open one of these in West Palm Beach." I'm like, "You're nuts." Yeah. I'm like,
well, I think the transfer of culture is difficult.
Right.
And I think that's because you're.
If I could clone this staff and just take all the recipes, yeah, I'll put it anywhere.
That sounds like a problem for Legacy Angel Network. I mean, we do have people in the scientific community that might be able to clone your employees.
It's possible. It's expensive. Where my brain went immediately is now that Kenny works at the Pentagon, we need to know the download on all this UFO stuff going on.
Well, I don't think he's in that part.
But I mean, he can walk down the hall
might know
or something.
Yeah, walk down the hall. Talk to Tom.
I mean, that place isn't that big.
Bribe him with an old fashioned from Crush 11.
Spill all the state secrets when you get back.
I mean, I can check. We'll see.
Okay,
yeah, I'll do what I can.
Send him Facebook.
Are we alone in the universe?
Yeah.
Kenny.
What happened to Steve? Where did he go? Right.
If we don't see Steve after this podcast, we're sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
So was Crush your first entrepreneurial venture? Or
yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And how old are you?
I'm 53 right now. Yeah.
So your first entrepreneurial event
was at 52. Yep.
That's amazing.
That's
awesome.
Man.
I was a corporate dude, and I was going to be a corporate dude. I was going to sit in the cube and cash my checks and pad my 401k and retire at 62. And I mean, I was totally content doing that, and then just ran into some people that made me not content with it, and then and some situations like we talked about with my buddy and my brother and my father-in-law, and where I'm just like, boy, this whole retire at 62, live to 85 thing, I don't get to really control that sometimes. So
right.
I know I'm doing a lot of movie references today, but it made me think of Shawshank Redemption. And you look a little bit like Tim.
People say that. I don't see it, but people say that all the time.
You look a little bit like him.
Tim Robbins.
You do.
We're the same height. That's all I got. But.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what my wife was saying. She's saying, you're not enjoying. Like I said, she's amazing, but she was just like, you provided for our family. Great. We're doing good. Go do something makes you happy.
Yeah, man, you have to. That's cool.
And it's not easy.
Right.
And it's not without its struggles. And the second day I was there, FPL turned off my power because they didn't think I put deposits in. So I showed up to the second day at Crush and all the power's off.
Sorry.
Classic.
Yeah, and I call him up. I'm like, hey, where's my power? And they're like, you didn't pay the deposits. I'm like, yeah, I did. And after like 15 minutes, like, yeah, you did, but we can't turn your power back on unless, we have access to the room to make sure that everything goes okay. I said, that didn't stop you from turning it off. Like, walk me through that process. So like, there's some struggles that you run into, but I'm not sure where I was going with this. But it's in general, it's not easy. It's not easy all the time. The summer months are slower here because all the snowbirds aren't here, so the number of people that come in are less. But we still did well in the summer, which was encouraging. So I started in May, and I had the summer months to begin with, and it was actually probably a good thing because then I got a chance to kind of meet the people and see how they work without it being like a
little bit easier to learn when it's not chaos.
Yeah, and every restaurant is chaos. I've learned, like, if you think things are going great, we're hiding it really well.
Nice.
So there's always something going on. There's
it's people.
Yeah, people.
Right.
It's people.
Right.
There's people. Right.
There's always going to be that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Connor's a drama queen over here. Man. I'm always dealing with.
Seriously, I'm a mess, Steve.
You don't have to tell me.
These creatives, man. They're very high maintenance. I'm actually the most high maintenance one here. That's a fact.
Well, that's because you get the special water. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the fuzzy water.
Yeah, you get the fuzzy water.
He drank the last one today too.
I did drink the last one.
Me off.
I saw it. I'm like, I better grab that. Yeah, I'm a real team player.
There you go. Nice. Yeah.
It's the culture I'm trying to create.
Well,
here.
that was one of the things. Like the second shift, the second day I was there. The first day I followed the GM around and did everything she did and watched what she did and just tried to learn a little bit. And then the second day I got a T-shirt and I did the dishes. And I told everybody in the first meeting, I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to do every job here except cook because I don't want people to be disappointed in the taste of their food. So, I bust tables.
That's awesome.
You might see me out there spraying, but it's just kind of like you said that, you try to be the, show people you're willing to do their job.
Yeah.
Even if it's not the sexiest job in the world.
Well, and that's the thing. I think just when things just need to get done, it doesn't matter. It's. I think there's this assumption, and I don't think. I know there's an assumption. Different jobs in people's minds have different levels of position, right? Mm-hmm. So a dishwasher is someone of low position, and the chef is someone of a higher position, and then it goes on. But when you're the type of person who's willing to jump in at any position, you show that no, it's not the position, it's the person.
Yeah.
Right. So high quality people willing to do everything at every level.
Yeah.
That's what you want in any organization.
Yeah.
I remember when I started over at in my previous life when I was a pastor at Calvary Chapel. I started there as a janitor working from midnight to 8 in the morning. I knew I could only do it for a couple of months, but that was my way to get in. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was like supposed to be this humbling experience, this humbling thing. But really, it shouldn't be a humbling thing for you to push a mop on the floors of the people you serve. That shouldn't be a humbling thing. That should be a thing that you want to do for others. It's an act of service.
Right.
And I think that you're teaching your employees a valuable lesson when you're willing to do that. I think it's awesome.
In the restaurant industry, if everyone isn't focused on making the experience good for the customer, you've got a problem.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean. I like to do the ice. Like I used to be a barback 100 years ago, and I just like filling up the ice bucket, like the ice bins in the bar and in the back for the water and stuff like that. So
were you the type of bartender that was like cocktails with
we were volume. We were in my the place I bartended at, when it was going full steam, had 17 bartenders going at the same time.
What?
Wow.
So you're not like Tom Cruise.
No, I had somebody come up to me on Saturday, cute girl, before I met you, honey. Cute girl, and like there's 15 people waiting for me to get them a drink. And she's like, "What's your specialty?" I'm like, "Miller Lite. What do you want?" Like, I can make 2 of those in about 3 seconds. So, you're not getting a grasshopper over here. Let's move this along.
Amazing.
So,
There's this place like back in Appalachia. Here we go, Steve. Are you ready for this? There's this place in Ohio. It's in Cadiz, Ohio. It's called JR's, little like bar in the middle of the sticks. And the lady, if you want another beer, you literally go behind the bar and get the Miller Lite yourself. She's like, "Are your legs broken?" kind of thing. You know, it's funny.
Nice.
Yeah. And then
No, I was willing to open the beer for her. I just didn't want her to be like, "Oh, can you make me a sex on
a
the?"
special trip just to go there.
I think we should. If
I
you
have
ever,
to.
hey, listen,
It's a work trip.
Steve.
So, yeah.
Your food is good enough that you could really spin this into some kind of like food show. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Where you come with us to Cadiz, Ohio, right?
Yeah.
We go to JR's. The last time we were there, that woman, it's like an older woman and her sisters. They go to the fish market in Pittsburgh and then bring back fish and chips and stuff. And,
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then just pair it with Miller Lite. But last time we were there, she was sitting in the middle of she had moved her TV set downstairs into the dining room because she was recovering from surgery.
Okay.
I'm not even kidding. Like literally in the middle of where everyone's dining. She's just hanging
nice.
out. So it's a different aesthetic, Steve.
Yeah,
It's a different
exactly.
He
aesthetic.
sounds awesome.
She's awesome, bro.
It's slightly different than my place, a little bit. I mean, yeah, there's degrees of something there that's a little different. but-
Is she also kind of irritable?
a little bit irritable. Yep.
So like
Yep.
soup Nazi-ish, like on Seinfeld?
Yeah, that would
know
be
the
an
reference?
accent. I do.
Okay,
I do.
just wanna make
Just for the record, I watched Seinfeld in its entirety for the first time last year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm caught up to speed. on
Excellent, good.
All the important stuff.
They're not making it anymore, so you don't need to.
I was waiting for the next season.
You're all right.
The last episode disappointed me. I don't
know how you close that. Like,
I
there's
don't know
no
how you
real way
close
to
it either.
close. Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it was appropriate because it's a show about nothing, and the show was kind of
Yeah, but then it just goes through like, oh, you guys have been terrible people for all the last 10 years. You're going to sit in jail together for a year. I just didn't get it. But I mean, who am I? I'm not.
I was going to
Jerry
say,
freaking Seinfeld, who's amazing.
Yeah, Seinfeld made millions and millions and millions of dollars.
He's still making hundreds of millions off Seinfeld in Syndicate. Like it's
His net
syndication,
worth something absurd. Like I looked it up the other day. Now I got to find the actual
and all
number.
the people that were on that show, like sharing that, like it's crazy. Like how much they're all still making today off of that show. I mean, that show is brilliant.
People would make fun of David Schwimmer from Friends. And like, oh, you didn't do anything with your career, blah, blah, blah. You did Band of Brothers, but that's it. And then he goes, yeah, like I make like $4 million on residuals every year,
Right.
His net worth is, according to Parade.com, $950 million.
Oh, bummer.
He makes a few $100 million a year still off of Seinfeld.
Roll that, and then you got cars or comedians in cars getting coffee, all that stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I would love a tour of his private garage. Like Seinfeld's got this like 2-3 story.
Oh,
like,
does he? I thought that was
like private garage.
I knew
like,
Leno had a
in New York, like literally in New York.
Really?
Like you can. I think it's New York. Yeah, and he walks in.
That's $800 million of his net worth.
Mostly, of course, he bought this building back when he was on the show in Seinfeld. But it's they did a special on once. It's like filled with Porsches.
Huh.
I mean, he's a Porsche guy. But like it's I would love to.
Have you had any notable individuals walk into Crush 11?
Matt.
I mean, other than
Right,
Yeah,
exactly,
Matt,
exactly.
I think Tim Wakefield was in. He used to pitch for the
wow,
Pirates
cool.
and the Red Sox.
Now you're a big baseball guy.
I am a baseball guy. I do like baseball. So
Yeah.
I gotta bring some cards at some point for you to look at. But I'm a
I can just see him.
Trust me,
I
like-
can just see him crisscross applesauce on his floor at home, going, "Hey, honey, look at this card."
Yeah, and she supported the baseball card hobby because there's so many worse things I could do.
Right. No,
She's
it's
like,
great.
okay,
That's true. That's
that'll
true.
work.
So do you like do they have a scoring system too? Like do you have a collection of them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So don't they get scored based on their condition or
Oh
whatever?
yeah, you can send them in for grading. I have some that have been graded, but yeah, a lot of them are just they're called raw, so they're ungraded.
Okay.
But they're real. They're just ungraded. That was the main. And I collect older stuff, so I have tobacco cards from the early 1900s and.
Well, here's a chance for you to nerd out. We'll throw it up on the screen.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah. So tell us, what's your prize card? Like, is there a
My prize card is graded. It's a Beckett graded 4 Ty Cobb T206 red background.
High freaking cob, bro.
Yeah, man.
So that's. I bought it for $400. I opened it in front of. It was back in the day where you had to go to the post office to sign for stuff, and also back in the day where if they sent you an empty box, you were kind of screwed because you opened it. And there was an argument about what was in there, right? Yeah. And so I bought it from this guy, ungraded at the time. I had it graded, but the person who I signed it in front of, I said, "Now you're my witness. I'm going to open this to show you what's in here." And it's 55-year-old. This is 20-some years ago, but 55-year-old woman working at the post office. So I open it up, I take it out, and she's like, "What is it?" And I show it to her, and she goes, "That's effing cool." I'm like, "Thank you, appreciate that." She didn't say effing; she said the whole thing, but had children's show. So, but yeah,
There's
it was
no children watching our podcast.
okay.
here.
No,
Yeah, you're fine.
All right, okay. But so yeah, even she thought that was awesome, and I show it to people. I believe like my collection is like some people will go and hide it and go in a back room and look at it every once in a while. I'd bring it to one of these. Just it's a little binder. It's got 400 baseball cards in it, but that's not the whole collection. I have a bunch of other stuff too, but yeah,
did you see when in his title fight, Logan Paul wore that chain around his neck with the Charizard card on his neck?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
You should pull something like that with the time.
I don't know if I want to really copy Logan Paul in a lot of things. I'm going to be honest with you.
But I like that could be yours.
That might make me question my life choices.
Probably not a great role model.
I mean, he's in good shape. Don't get maybe that, but other than that, I'm probably okay. Sorry, Logan, man, love you, brother.
You don't want to offend him when he comes in the restaurant
later. He'd come to the restaurant if he came here. So I don't want.
Oh, he absolutely would love that restaurant. If he came here. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we gotta bring in some local celebrities, man,
Okay.
and some not local celebrities. We gotta just that way. Do you want to start a celebrity wall?
No, not really. Maybe, I don't know. 10 months. Give me, give me some time.
I think your GM would have something about changing the culture. I think a celebrity wall changes your thing.
Yeah, it changes the vibe.
It does.
Although I do have to, I think I'm gonna change out that one wall that's got all the herbs that are written in like Czech. Yeah,
I love the random babies smoking cigarettes.
Yes,
where's that at?
That's art. It's just not babies, but like there's like
there's a kid. He's maybe 8 years old, sitting in a chair next to a chicken, smoking a cigarette. And when I bought the place, I said to the owner, I'm like, "What's going on here?" He's like, "If you don't like it, I'll take it with me." I'm like, "No, that's fine. Don't get me wrong. I just like that's interesting."
It's not offensive actually. It's not offensive. It's just like, oh, art, interesting. Okay, someone's perspective there. It's
right. Instead of like instead of the herb wall in the the Czech descriptions, maybe we bring back the dogs playing poker aesthetic. What do you think about that? I mean, just think about it, Steve.
Ask your GM first.
I'm just going to keep saying until we change subjects. I don't want to.
All right, I got more suggestions.
I don't want to offend. I don't want to offend the 6'9" guy. So again, I think I've done enough offending the 6'9" guy.
Right. I get it. I know we got into that. We have to make this public, Steve. But we got into like some banter at one of the events, and I think I told you that I'd walk by Crush 11 for a pepperoni roll melt at Wawa, which I didn't mean. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry.
No, because Wawa's it's that way.
Right.
Yeah. That's the only part of the story that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you're right. Geographically, I would sound like I'm from Ohio.
Hey, Wawa's got every place. I mean, there's restaurants all over the place. They all have something. Otherwise, they wouldn't be open, right?
Right.
So,
I mean,
Wawa's got some good stuff.
If you haven't tried the blackened salmon at the mansion,
I have not.
you should try it.
Okay.
Where does he fly that in?
I thought that was Alaska, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was like Poland or something.
Yeah, it's probably somewhere
Norway
cooler.
or something some Nordic fish.
Yeah, my wife, we love the deck at the mansion. It's a beautiful view.
Yeah. You
Good
should
bartenders.
definitely check out the blackened salmon.
Okay.
I
will do that.
It's a quality dish.
That's not a hard ask for me. I'm happy to go over and do that.
Yeah. Here's some cheat code though. If you go there, I've already told Jim about this. He doesn't change it. That's on him.
Yeah.
But you order a blackened salmon and you order just say I want the blackened salmon fillet.
Yeah.
And I want a side of like green beans or a side of spinach.
Mm-hmm.
They price those things separate, and so you end up having like this great meal for like $12.
Nice.
Yeah, got him. Yeah, it doesn't work at dinner, but at lunch, it's
it's a thing.
It's a thing, and every now and then they forget and they give you a dinner portion of the fish. Again, full disclosure, I've told Jim about this.
It still happens. It's not your fault.
It's right.
Right.
It's right.
You sleep well at night. I mean,
I've told him.
Exactly. If he doesn't take action on it, I guess then he wants it that way. That's how that works.
Yeah, Jim's not worried about it. He ain't worried about it. Yeah.
Steve, what's the go-to? And you don't give me none of this. Everything's good shit. You know what I mean? What is the one item, gun to your head, that you have to try at Crush?
I just want to make sure everyone knows that everything is good.
I told you that was the one thing you couldn't say.
The pork chop is the signature dish. It's we described the apple ball. Yeah, apple. I'm having it on Sunday. I'm going there to eat with my wife's aunt is coming into town, and I'm already now. I walk them out. I'm like, this one could have been mine. Like, I mean, that level of crave of that. It's so good. It's just, and I tell people it's on the pricier end of the menu, and I just tell people if that's a problem, split it.
Yeah,
there's enough food there, and it's worth getting. It's the best bite.
Can you articulate it in that poetic way that your servers do? You know, when they're describing specials and stuff.
No, that's why they're servers.
Right.
On me.
Fair enough.
No, I have them. I want to make them look
pork
good.
chop with some butter.
If I crank out the rarefied this and blah blah blah, that, I mean, then they're like, oh, well, what do we need the server for? You took care of it. Yeah, no.
Fair.
I literally, this is a quick story. People sitting we have a little lounge in the front. For those of you who don't know, and couple was getting a couple drinks there, and then they were going to get a table. And I walked up, and their table was ready, and I said, "Do you want to take care of your bill now, or do you want to transfer it to the table?" And they said, "Oh, we'll just take care of it now." I'm like, "Okay." And I just stood there, and the guy looks at me and goes, "So can I have my bill?" I'm like, "Oh, right, yeah, okay, I'll be right back with that." And I had told him earlier, I took their drink order. And I walked it over to him, and I told him, I'm not. This is not my forte. I'm not good at this stuff, because he ordered this, or she ordered a fancy kind of. Oh, he did. He ordered a fancy kind of martini with all kinds of these olives and this and that. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to remember all this stuff, and I'm like, I'm not that good at this. Thankfully, the bartender walked up right behind me after I heard it. I was able to regurgitate it to her, and she was fine with it. And so I walked back with the bill. I'm like, I told you I wasn't good at this. Like I pre-warned you that, this is not what I do. And they're like, oh, okay. So, but yeah, they went and he had the pork chop, and he's like, it's amazing. It's everybody I talk to. I'm never worried about anybody walking up to a table with anybody who had the pork chop. I don't even really ask them how their meal was. I'm like, that was great, wasn't it? And they're like, yeah. So I don't try to set expectations low on that one. It's really good. You'll like it.
It is really good. May I say my favorite?
Go ahead.
My favorite is your flat iron steak.
Yep. Sriracha flat iron.
Sriracha flat iron. It's served on an avocado mash. Mm-hmm. It is
demi-glaze. It's good. It's really good.
It's. I mean, and here's the thing. And I'm a guy that likes to smoke meat, and I like to cook and mess with red meat, and it's very difficult to get that level of tenderness in a flat iron steak. I don't know what they're doing to it, but it's super tender, super delicious. Yeah.
This is a good one.
It's a very nice one.
Salmon's good. The fresh catch is always good.
Yeah.
They change it up every once in a while, so if you haven't had it in a while, you get something a little different.
You guys still doing the big steaks? Here and there?
I think we had them for Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. We had the 30-day dry aged New York strip.
They do steaks.
I missed it.
16 days. Oh, the best part is there was one that was so they're between 16 and 18 ounces, because you don't get them exact, right? And then they were like, oh, this one was only 13 ounces, and I'm like, yes, that's mine. Totally gonna get that one. Can't sell that. What are we gonna do? Oh no. So yeah. So there's ownership has its privileges.
Yeah, that's great.
Membership has its privileges. Yeah, ownership has its privileges too.
Yeah.
Steve, now that you've entered into this new entrepreneurial phase of life, how has that changed you, with your environment and everything? Like, how do you notice yourself as a person changing?
It's odd because normally when you're the first thing that struck me is like when somebody used a straw, I paid for that. Like when somebody grabbed an extra napkin, I'm like, wait, that's my money. Like it's just, that's my nature is like, I'm like, oh, wait a second. I'm paying for all of this. Like, this is crazy. But I think I'm more relaxed, which you wouldn't think would be the case, just because I'm in control, right? I control my environment. If I want something to happen, they'll make it happen. Even if it's wrong, I don't make them do that. But I mean, if I'm in control of the situation. And so I'm just more relaxed and happier because I'm not waiting for somebody to mess up my day by telling me I need to do something I know is wrong. So one of those things.
And I would
That
imagine
makes a lot
too,
of
you
sense.
worked in these big corporate environments, and anything you wanted to get done probably had to go through this process and this process and this process. But now the red tape's gone.
Yeah. If I really wanted those pictures of the herbs down, I could go in with a screwdriver right after this and take them off the wall, and no one's going to yell at me. They might be like, "Hey, what are we putting up there instead?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And then it would be there for 6 months, which is why they're still up because I don't have a plan. But it's just the piece of knowing that it's sort of backwards, it seems like, but it's the piece of knowing that it's on me. That I control it. So
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know.
Any advice that you'd offer to any viewer that's watching this and like thinking about like I have this idea, or I've always wanted to venture out, like any advice that you might offer them in taking action on in their own journey?
Well, I'm probably not going to answer that question exactly, but I'm going to go back to something that we talked about like before we started recording.
Okay.
So when you go out and do it, you should just go out and do something. If you like it, just go do it. Don't hesitate. I had a guy was here. He was talking about how he always wanted to open a food truck. And I'm like, dude, that's 2 days. Go get it done. He's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, well, that's the problem. You're never going to get it done then. You got to just go do it. Just got to go try it. But when you do, be patient with people. Because like we talked about, they're people, right?
Yep.
And story that I had was I went to Arby's one day when I was in Minnesota, and this woman was training to be a cashier, and her manager was behind her, and manager was yelling at her and you're doing all this wrong. And I'm like, just take your time. I'm not in any hurry. It's not that big a deal. And you could tell she was getting upset.
Yep.
And the manager walked away, and I just said, you're doing great. I said, is this your first day? She said, yeah. I said, everybody has a first day. Your manager had a first day.
Yep.
And she sucked at her job her first day. And she didn't know what she was doing. And, you're fine. You're doing great. And I went back there like 2 months later, and same cashier. And I said, how you doing? And she said, yeah. I said, do you remember me? She goes, yeah. I said, how do you like your job? She's like, I really like it. I'm like, and you're better at it, right? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, that's good because you're, no, I didn't say that. Like, well, thank goodness for that because you were awful. No. But I said, no, it's like, so everybody has a first day. Everybody doesn't know what they're doing at some point in their life. And that includes people who just decide to buy restaurants in their 50s. You don't know what you're doing, you'll figure it out.
Yep.
It's betting on yourself within certain boundaries that make sense financially is cool. But you're gonna have a first day where you don't know what you're doing. Work hard. Make the second day better, make the third day better, make the fourth day better. That's with everybody. That's not just entrepreneurs, but yeah. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
I found the first time, because you did share before, and my condolences, by the way, just losing your friend at such a young age.
Yeah.
I'm sure it had a massive impact on you.
Yeah.
And, on a note that we can relate, we had a really good friend, Mike Glockner back home in Ohio, who just probably like the healthiest person we've ever known. You know what I mean? Like working out 5-6 times a day.
Yeah.
has like a massive stroke. You know, thank God he's recovered from this, and it probably was due to his health. But there was like he was in a coma for like 10 days or 12 days or something, and that was the moment where we started, like Aubrey and I both, I feel like started to view things differently. Like, wow, I mean, we could really, for any reason, just go. You know what I mean? Like, and you just start thinking about like, well, what does that imply about your life? Like, why are we, if we want to go do something, we want to take a risk, we want to move to Florida, you know, like, why not just do it? Like, what do you have to lose kind of thing, you know? Is it riskier staying in your, like, comfortable situation and never experiencing any of this? Probably, you know?
Well, it's a shame that it takes things like that to kickstart some of us. Right. And so maybe that's the thing people could learn is that don't wait for something to blow up part of your life before you decide what you want to do with your life. Like, sit down, be intentional, have some goals, whatever those goals are. If your goal is to work the corporate job for the rest of your life, perfect. That's great. You know, but make sure that's your goal. And make sure you have goals. And then when you meet those goals, make new goals. And then attack those and just have goals. And work towards them.
I mean, risk is scary, but
there's risk in everything.
Yeah, there's risk literally in everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but risk does not mean you're going to fail.
Right.
You know, and so it's, you absolutely go for it. And if you do fail forward.
Right.
Like, you know, you learn from it, you fail forward. You know, you learn, you grow. You learn, you grow. You learn, you grow.
Yep.
Life's not over if you fail.
That's the saying, anything that doesn't kill me makes me stronger, which I don't think is technically true, but yeah, if you learn something, you've learned something, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Cool.
Steve,
Awesome.
Thanks so much, man. Really enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah,
And
my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
The restaurant's great. Everything you guys are doing over there. Excited to see how it develops. And
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Cheers, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Steve, everybody.